together kind of last minute, and there are a lot of moving parts, so hopefully you're going to have a little bit of patience with me anyway. You don't have to with the candidates, but with me. So my name is Shay Schwalberg. I'm a member of the Fidalgo Democrats Steering Committee, and our fearless leader, Barbara Cooper, who usually chairs the meeting, is out of town tonight, so I have the pleasure of honchoing the entire evening. Welcome to everyone. This is a great crowd. So we like to begin our meetings with an acknowledgement. We, the Fidalgo Democrats, acknowledge that we gather on indigenous land, the traditional territory of the Coast Salish people, and specifically the Salish and Swinomish people, and pay our respects to elders, past, present, and future. A little bit of housekeeping. If you didn't sign in at the back and you'd like to be on our mailing list, please do sign in. If you want anybody to know who you are, please put on a name tag. Here's mine. The front door to the library is locked, so if you'd like to leave at any time, you can leave now. This door or the back door, but you can't get out the main library door. Please do turn off your cell phones. Oh goody, I'm seeing everybody reach for them. Do we have cookies at the back? There are cookies at the back, thanks to our cookie angel, Rita Sullivan. There is also some coffee and tea in back. Fidalgo Democrats, we are an independent democratic association with a focus on education. We are not a PAC, we're not a political action committee, we don't endorse, we don't contribute to candidates. Each of us retains our individual rights to our opinions and actions, but as an organization, we don't do that. We do invite candidates to talk about issues and legislation or their candidacy. The meeting is being recorded, and like most of our other meetings, it will be available shortly on the Fidalgo Democrats YouTube channel. Our next meeting, I believe, is November 11th. Generally, we meet Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. here. Friday night, who knew that you'd come out, but here you are.
Is there one on October 28th?
Did I miss it?
I don't know. Sarah?
Yeah, on October 28th,
Okay.
we'll have legislators from the 40th and the 10th legislative districts. They'll be focusing on what happened last session and what to expect in the upcoming 2026 session. On November 11th, we'll be hosting Pacific Sound Advocates for Retirement Action to talk about traditional Medicare and Medicare Advantage plans. That should be a real eye-opener. Okay. Tonight's topic is, of course, about the potential redistricting for the Fidalgo pool. Have any of you noticed those vote yes signs or vote no signs around town? Did you all know what it was about? No, I've seen quite a few no head shaking. Well, neither did we. The Fidalgo Democrats, somehow this went under the radar, and so we didn't really wake up to the complexity of the issue until relatively recently. But then we decided, boy, if it was hard enough for us to understand, and we are an education association, let's host a forum to talk about it. So that's what this is about tonight. Okay. I am going to do my best to explain the ballot measure. I've spent time with the elections office and the assessor's office. I've spoken to a number of people, attorneys, and really tried to understand it. When we first looked at the ballot proposal, how many of you have read the ballot proposal in the voter's pamphlet? A good many of you. Did you get the full gist? You did? I did not. I did not. So we did some further research and hopefully can present it to you with some clarity. We do have a couple of experts here with us, so when I make a mistake, they're going to stand up and say, you're not right about that. Following that, we will have Ken Hansen, who's a current commissioner who is not running, or you're running unopposed?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So he's not going to come up and answer questions as a candidate, but he will speak to why the current commission wanted to put this measure on the ballot for your vote. Unfortunately, we don't have a designated speaker from the group that is opposing the measure. Unfortunately, with such short timing, they were unable to find someone who could join us tonight. Following that, we are going to have 4 candidates. I will have some questions for them. And after that, we're going to open it up to the audience, and you may ask any question you like. We'll ask that you stand and identify yourself and tell us who your question is addressed to. It might be addressed to me, hopefully not, please don't do that. Or it might be addressed to Ken as the current commissioner who voted to put this on the ballot, or it might be addressed to one or many of the candidates. Normally we do this in writing, but tonight because it's a ballot measure, it seemed a little bit different, and we're happy to take live questions from the audience. I would just remind everyone, we have had very respectful forums. We've just had no one doing anything other than the right thing as they've asked their question. And we know that'll continue tonight as well. And we also want to remind you that the point of a question tonight is to educate us, to get answers that help us understand how we want to vote. Please don't stand up and tell us your opinion. You can do that on your own time, but not during the forum. Okay, with that, let me get myself a little more organized. Okay, so we currently have what's called a recreational parks district. And all these districts are regulated by state law. Our current parks district encompasses Fidalgo Island homeowner taxpayers and has a 5-member commission. Their ability to raise revenues comes from user fees of the facility that brings them about 50% of their revenues. The other 50% are from a levy that goes out to the people every 6 years. So every 6 years, the voters on Fidalgo Island have had the right to vote yes or no, and for the past 30 years, they have voted yes. And that is the extent of the current funding. Now, recently, the existing commission wanted to change to a metropolitan recreation district, which is regulated by different state laws in different ways. Also a 5-member commission, and they followed state law in that both the City Council of Anacortes and Skagit County Council had to pass authorizing resolutions which said, under these terms and following state law, we agree you may put this ballot measure out for a vote of the people. There's language in those resolutions that modifies state statute. And I found it tricky to find this, and it helped me understand some of the details and why we may have different opinions about what this resolution does. So what does the resolution do? It basically does 3 things. It changes the boundaries of the district from Fidalgo Island. It adds Guemes, Sinclair, and Cypress Islands. So we have a bigger base of people who are part of the district. The second thing it does is create a new commission. So even though the existing commission is 5 members, and the new commission would be 5 members, they are not necessarily the same 5 members. After the resolutions were passed by the city and the county, our elections department opened a special filing period for candidates. And during that time, people filed to run for these 5 new positions. And for the sake of ease, I'm just going to call it the old district and the new district, or the old commission and the new commission. Okay? So tonight, we invited all of the candidates, both old and new, but we plan on asking only those who are in contested races, where there are 2 candidates, to come up and answer our questions. And not everyone could come tonight, so we will do that with the folks that we have. Okay, On your ballot, you're going to see vote yes or vote no on the ballot measure. And then you're going to see the slate of old district commissioner candidates. And then you're going to see the slate of new district candidates. So you're going to vote on two different slates of candidates for the old district and then for the new district. If the ballot measure fails, the old district remains in place with whoever gets elected. If the measure passes, then it is the new slate of candidates who will take office. So now let's get to the issue that I think confuses people and also concerns people, and that's the change in the taxing ability. So I've explained that under the existing district, they raise revenue with the levy and user fees. And they have that 6-year levy that the population here has supported. Under the new district, that levy goes away. It's gone. You won't pay it anymore. And the old levy cap, as high as they could go, was about 11 cents per $1,000 of appraised value. What they set the rate at, what they're collecting, what we're paying, is about 9 cents per $1,000, but they could raise it as high as 11 cents. Under the new measure, they can go as high as 12 cents instead of 11. And if the measure passes and the new commissioners take office, they will determine at what rate to set the initial taxing amount. Could be as high as 12 or it could be lower. Does that make sense? Okay. They can raise revenues in a couple of other ways that they could not under the existing law, the existing district. If they wanted additional revenues, they could go out with a vote of the people and ask for a levy lift. They could ask to raise the maximum amount. They could also go out with a bond measure. Both of these things require a vote of the people. In the case of a bond, it requires a 60% supermajority to pass, and in the event of a levy lift, it's a simple majority. This was very wonkish, but I don't see you falling asleep yet, thank you. Okay, so to summarize, if it passes, you get a new Board of Commissioners, you get a larger district that encompasses Gwynedd, Cypress, and Sinclair that currently are not in the district, and you have approved a different taxing authority where every year, I didn't say this, where every year, whatever that levy rate the commissioners set, they can collect it every year without asking permission each year. And they can raise it by a maximum of 1% per year without a vote of the people, which is like most of the other taxing authorities in our state, not all, but most. And they have additional means to ask you for more revenue, but you get to vote on that. That's it. Was that simple? Okay, everybody's awake? Everybody has questions? Oops. I invited Eric, who is the administrator for the pool, to correct anything I've said that's wrong. Please.
I think I can do it from back here, from right here. The only thing that I heard that might not be completely factual is that every 6 years, our cap is not 11 cents. 11.38 cents was the last voter approved in 2021. And the next levy was to show up, our cap on a curve is 60 cents. So the commission has the ability to present anything up to 60 cents every 6 years. But and then once it's approved, then it goes up 1% until the next levy vote. So that's the only correction. So.
Thank you, I really appreciate that. Okay. If not,
You want to recap it?
no. I think you need to say that one more, or
Okay.
Ken?
Yeah.
Oh, no, just, I'll let Eric.
Oh, you
Okay.
You gonna be on camera too?
Yeah.
It's official. Okay, Eric Dolan, I'm the executive director for Fidalgo Pool and Fitness Center. Just again, to state what I just mentioned, Shay, perfect job. That was really good, by the way. I learned a lot of that, just like you did, over the last month. But yes, the current levy structure is every 6 years. It's voted in 2021, which was the last levy that was approved by the voters. It was 11.38 cents roughly.
And that was the amount that can go up, has gone up 1% every year until the next vote, which would be 2026, 27. At that point, under the current structure, the current commissioners would be able to, if they asked felt like they needed more, they would put that towards the assessor's office as a budget request, and that's what would be on the ballot voted by the people. If it's approved, that has a cap that is, I believe it's 60 cents under the current recreational municipal district that we have. And the regular metropolitan district has a cap of 75 cents, but in this resolution, it's capped at 12 because of the single purpose facility for the metropolitan. Make sense? I think so. Perfect.
Thank you.
Eric, I have a question.
Not question time.
We're gonna hold on those, okay? Just, we're gonna go through the rest of this and put out all the information we have, and then we're gonna take all the questions. Thanks. Thank you for your patience. Okay. So the next person that we'd like to have come up is Ken Hansen, who is a current district commissioner. Getting tongue-tied here. And as I said, Ken has no opponent at this point, but he did vote to create the new commission, or put this measure on the ballot. So Ken, thank you.
Thank you, Shay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for this opportunity to share the history and why we're doing this. First, my background on the commission anyway, been almost 7 years now. So I joined in December of 18, which was right, if you remember, we had a campaign that had already kicked off for a larger facility and all of that. We did raise some money, but nowhere near what we thought we would need to then take it to, the next step and go to the voters. We also had COVID, which was hard on the facility. So between the two, everything kind of went quiet. And then everyone was kind of asking, like, when are you going to start the campaign back up? What's the plan? So the commissioners all agreed that what we really need is something. If we're going to invest in a $40–50 million facility, we need something more than a 6-year timeline or a tether, essentially, where we have to go back to the voters to stay open. And I'll make that clear that levy, we cannot operate without it. If it goes away, and it happened in Oak Harbor, and that was what really kind of sent the message home, is that they shut down for a year, they come back to the voters, here's what we changed, but you're shut down. And we did not want to go through what we saw happening there, where their staff, their swimmers, everyone was coming down in quarters just to have that facility or that type of facility. Anyway, a little more recent history. Last year, this same exact measure was on the ballot, and we lost by 5, 6. It was a very small, what was the number? 3? I've seen different numbers, but it was less than 10 for sure. I mean, that was how many votes we missed it by. So again, kind of went quiet, but we had a meeting in the fall where a lot of the facility users came. They had a lot of questions. We had people that were told us, I voted no because I didn't understand it. And, we agreed in, hindsight that we did not do the public campaign, the message, all of that. We didn't get it out there very well. So, and they all said, look, either it doesn't hurt to ask, like you have to ask again. It was too close. So we've also at the pool, Eric is our new executive director. So we had a gap there. So it was hard. It wasn't intentional to bring this in right at the last moment, but it was just because of staffing issues that we ended up, okay, the only way we're going to get this done was almost on the, the bare minimum timeline. And we've received a lot more pushback, I guess I'd say, this year than last year, which is also surprising because we heard nothing really last year, other than they just didn't know anything about it. One thing that Shay did say that maybe not quite right was the larger district, that was a commissioner's decision. It's not necessarily that the metropolitan has to be a certain size or anything like that. And the reason, some history there, back in 2016, before I was even on, there was a assessment done where they looked at how many parcels, within the Fidalgo Island, which is supposed to be the district, are actually being taxed for and paying into it. So there will be between 175 and 200 parcels that are just missing. And there's no easy way to clean that up. So we have people living on Fidalgo Island that might be using the pool. Oh, 98221, zip, you're good to go. You're the in district, but maybe they're not. We just didn't know. It's really, it became very cumbersome. And then the Guimas residence was another one, 98221, Anacortes address. But unless you go on a map and look at where their house is, you don't know. So we made the decision because back in the 70s when the district was established, it was on the school district at that time. It's like, let's just go back to the school district. We'll realign because we're kind of an anomaly at the county. They don't really want to manage this weird district. We'll just match the larger one that everyone knows well. Anyway, I had a meeting on Williams Island last week and heard some of their complaints, concerns, feedback, and a lot of it good. I would, they were talking about review boards and other things that have kind of been disbanded at the county. We're basically just going through our checklist of, okay, we have to do this first, then we do this, and we're just moving down, start with the city, go to the county, we've got our resolutions, and they felt like they were excluded. And I'm sure some of that was just our timeline of, kind of pushing this in just in time to get it on the ballot. That's unfortunate. We let them know that there's really not much we can do about taking it off the ballot now, but done some more research, and the new commission under a Metropolitan Park District, assuming it passes, does have the ability to change that district, to remove, and I think Cypress and Sinclair Islands would be some obvious ones because they really aren't part of the community. I didn't know they were in the school district. So anyway, that's for the new commission to decide. So there are some district issues, I guess, concerns from some of the people, but we absolutely want Fidalgo Island. I wish, we just felt more like our community, but they really kind of just want to be separate, so no issue there. But anyway, that's the district part. The capital campaign, as I said, we needed something more permanent before, because we do have plans to go back and restart that campaign for a newer facility. The facility just turned 50. It's definitely showing its age. We have, in case you didn't know, the pool liner, there was a lawsuit involved years ago where they didn't apply it quite right. So now the risk is if you drop the water level, it could just delaminate and come off the walls, which is a huge expense then to get that fixed. So we have some savings, but not enough that we can risk draining that pool, which is why it's kind of the rusty color now. We just don't drain it. And if there was any other, catastrophic, a roof, anything that was big, we're at the point now where we're just kind of barely getting by, and we need, if we wanted to go out for a loan, in the past, the executive directors were able to procure that, and it's a different banking world now. And if they see that you have 2 years left before the voters decide if you're still here, probably not going to get a vote. So the new district, the Metropolitan, yes, it's more flexible. It has greater financial capacity, 75 cents versus the 60, even though, as Eric said, we asked for 11.38, last time. So we're not even close to what it could be. And as Eric also said, the restriction that the city and county put on us was 12 cents per thousand, which we actually endorsed because I think that was what a lot of the publicity from the last year when this was out, is everyone was saying, well, they could make the 75 cents. Yes, we could, but we're also part of this community, and we haven't, you could basically build a new pool with something like that. So that was not ever the intent. It was just for longevity, for that lifeline that we are here. It's a commitment, permanence. And then that's so flexibility, greater financial capacity, but it's that permanence that we really wanted. We wanted to get away from that 6-year levy. We didn't want to go through what Oak Harbor went through, what this pool went through 30 years ago, where it did stay open, but it was with volunteer help. So not enough to pay everybody, just it was it was volunteer. It was a community-run, literally, facility at that point, so. Anyway, some of the questions that have come about the Metropolitan Park District, there are some other. So Metropolitan Park District's nothing new in the state of Washington. There's several of them out there, and some of them are huge, like county recreation size, multiple pools, parks. It has that capacity if you ever wanted it to grow or to run something that big. You can hire your own police force. You have eminent domain, to expand if you need parking lots next to certain recreation facilities. That's not what we're looking for. I mean, we just want to maintain the campus that we have, which is the property that we're operating on, that the senior center is on, and then we have a couple residential homes with a donor that is offered to donate a third house there on that land if we ever do get to the capital campaign success and build that new facility. So, trying to think of the other big things we've heard about, the concerns anyway from the Metropolitan Park District. But for the taxing, 800,000 home kind of average, currently collecting it was 11.38 in the beginning. That sets an initial amount, and then that amount can grow. So let's say it's $1 million. The next year, without going to the voters, and we have that now every year, we can ask for 1% more, so $10,000. Which when you spread that out to everybody, it's essentially, nothing. But the 12 cents, that would be $22 more for an $800,000 home. I mean, so it's not, if it passes, you're not gonna see a huge tax bill. The people in Weemus that aren't paying into it now, they would. And for them, for timing, if this passes, the board is established in this, for 2026, they vote on everything, what that levy rate is, but it's still the existing tax district. The new tax district doesn't happen until 2027, so there is time to change or to modify that anyway before. And that can be done without going to the voters. If we remove them and then we want to bring them back in or expand the boundaries, we do have to go to the voters. So voters still have the power there if you're large enough, don't want to see it bigger. And like Eric said as well, if we're collecting that 12 cents, we get the 1% a year. If we decide, hey, we got this new building coming, we want to bump it up to 50 cents, that doesn't happen without going to the voters. So the voters still do have a lot of say in this, the amount of money that this asset or organization and district would get. And that's being one of the other issues we've heard or complaints is that we're getting too much power, that we can just indiscriminately basically increase the taxes, but no, not at all. Only that initial amount, which already has that 12 cents cap, 1% from then on, unless if inflation goes up to, it's been historically 2 or a little more, if we just say, hey, we can't do this without increasing user fees, which isn't enough, we would then go to the voters and say, hey, we need 20 cents, or I don't know, something, but it's, anyway, it's always going back to the voters. The YMCA, just other types of facilities, we heard that being mentioned. Why don't we do something like their model? The YMCA, I think, took 15 years from the start to when they actually built that, with a lot of fundraising. It's a national organization that also put money into that. And we were actually kind of modeling that facility size when we were talking about our capital campaign, with some differences, because theirs was really meant for recreation. It does have 6 lanes, but it doesn't have a diving well. It doesn't have a lot of the things that your competitive teams, especially the high schools, would need. So we wanted 2 pools, a warm water, cool water, the diving well. We wanted to maintain the things we need for that competitive, for a facility that can host competitive events. And most of the pools are run or owned by the government or a district, municipality, something like that. Not very many private ones. The YMCA is kind of an exception, but again, a different model. They get, federal fundraising and all of that stuff. And across the country, public pools are closing. 300,000 pools have been lost in the last 14 years. I was told that Anacortes actually had 6 or 7 community pools 70 some years, a long time ago, but they just shut down, and eventually we got, we have the one we own now. So what other history can I offer? I think I've covered most of the, decision-making of why we are asking for this and what our objective is. It is primarily that, get off that 6-year, which there is some risk with that, because with that 6-year, we could go back to the voters and say, yep, the 1% a year isn't enough, we need a little more. Well, we can't do that now. And if we do, we have to do the exact same process that 6-year would be of. It's the same district. We're not asking, whether we open, you keep the doors open or shut down, but we have to go back and ask for, can we get any more? If you vote no, the facility stays open, we just have to operate with less, so.
Okay. Thank you very much, and I know you'll be around for questions when we get to that. So thanks. So at this point, I'd like to ask the candidates who are here to come on up to the front. I believe that we have Cindy Marvin, who's running against Christine Mathis for position 3 of the current board. Christine could not be here tonight. We have Sally Turner, who's running for the current board in position 5, and Andrew Olson, her opponent, could not be here tonight. Could I have the current board members sit next to each other and the new district board sit next to each other? And then for the new district, we have position 5, it's Judy Billings and Sandy Finney. Okay. Let's start by asking you all to introduce yourselves. I'll ask you to keep it to about 2 minutes. We're not timing anything tonight, but if you go on, I'll cut you off. Let's start with the current board. And I would like to start with Cindy, and then we'll go to Sally.
Okay. Do we need mics? Can you hear me? Or should we?
Here's the mic.
Well, first, I do want to thank Shay and the Fidalgo Democrats for hosting this very necessary forum. There's a whole lot of confusion, and I think we're all better off if we feel like we understand the facts. We can make much more informed voting decisions. So I appreciate this opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Cindy Marvin. I was born and raised in New England and then moved around the country with stops in the South and the West before I retired and chose to settle here in this lovely, lovely community that has welcomed me. I think I probably would not recommend that people choose to relocate during a pandemic to a state where they don't know anyone, but I will say that I'm very glad I made that decision. And the Fidalgo Pool and Fitness Center is a big part of that. When you're in the water several days a week exercising and doing physical therapy, it's turned out that's a great place to meet people. And what I've realized is, as a water exerciser, you have the advantage that your head is above water the whole time. So it's super easy to chat with the people around you and, really strike up conversations and get to know people. It's also given me the opportunity to observe what's going on in the facility. And one of the first conclusions that I reached is that we are fortunate to have staff who are well-trained and professional and truly passionate about their work. And I really think that we need to value and support them even more. Fundamentally, I want to do whatever I can to help more people in Anacortes or Guaymas or wherever they might be enjoy the facility, whether you want to be in the pool, in the gym, at yoga or Zumba. I just think that it benefits the individual and it benefits the community. This prompted me to run for a commissioner position, and I'm also volunteering on the Yes on the Ballot Measure campaign. I do want to note that I truly admire the existing commissioners and staff who have managed to keep this very old facility running and on a pretty minimal budget from my perspective. I think what I can add to the commission is a commitment to greater transparency and access and accountability. I have 3 decades of public service and state government and the experience and practical tools to help the commission embrace these important goals. I think we should make it easy for residents to follow and get involved in what the commission is doing. I think that residents should be asked what they think and what their priorities are. And I think that we should all be able to access the relevant documents easily without needing to submit Public Records Act requests. So I will wrap up there. We were originally told 3 minutes, so I was on a 3-minute schedule.
Then do make it 3 minutes.
Okay. The only other thought I had was that I think that transparency, access, and accountability are important no matter what sort of organization you're involved in. And I think if we can increase that level, it bolstered public confidence in the current operations, and I think that'll be vital going forward with the campaign for the new facility. So I look forward to the questions tonight and hope to earn your vote. Thank you.
So I'm gonna just remind everybody, Cindy is running for position 3. Her opponent is Christine Mathis, who is an incumbent, but could not be here tonight. And of course, you can go to your voters pamphlet statements to see what each candidate has had to say. Now running in position 5 is Sally Turner. Sally, please would you tell us about yourself?
Sure. I'm Sally Turner. I moved here to Anacortes in 1977 with my husband. I moved from Oak Harbor on the other side of the bridge. Actually, it was a long distance phone call at that time away from my parents, so it was quite the move. I, at that time, got a job out at Shell Oil Refinery, being one of the first women in the maintenance department out there. I feel that I would be a great maintenance person on this pool. I know I am a great maintenance because I've actually come in and I've actually troubleshot the control systems 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago. I know maintenance. I've been a maintenance foreman on many multi-million-dollar jobs, and that's my forte. And that's why I'm running for this position, because if this doesn't pass, we're gonna need major maintenance on this pool. And so I think I would be a great candidate because I know maintenance. I hope, and I am voting for the Metropolitan District to pass. So then you don't have to, I won't be a commissioner anymore because you can only run for one position. And I was asked, I think it was in May, to come from somebody at the pool to run for commissioner because there was a lot of people who had been on the board for quite a while, and they thought they wanted to be off. So I went in, we had 1 week, and I came for the position, and I was there for the fall meeting that discussed the Metropolitan District, but I've been looking at the minutes and the agendas, and it doesn't come out very much in the committee meetings. If you look at the agendas and the minutes of the old meetings, it's very hard to find the whole Metropolitan talk on that. So I just want you to know that I am voting for the Metropolitan District. And if it passes, I won't be a commissioner. But if it doesn't pass, and I get enough votes, you will have somebody who knows maintenance, and that's my whole gig right now. So.
Well, that was pretty all right.
Can I have just another thing here?
Actually, I think I've spent more hours in that pool than anybody. I have figured it out that I have 1977, working at Shell. I spent 3 days a week for 25 years. And then I have spent 5 days a week for the last 15 years. Every day at that pool. I seen it.
I'm gonna cut you
Go.
off here. Thank you. All right. So we're gonna move to the new Board of Commissioners. Start with Judith Billings. Judith.
It's Judy,
Judy, sorry.
Judy Billings. Thank you for being here. This is a great opportunity for everyone to learn more about the Metropolitan Park Districts. So I want you to know that I support the Fidalgo Pool and Fitness Center because it enriches our community and encourages healthy living. I'm running for commissioner to ensure that if the Metropolitan Park District is approved, the voices of Anacortes residents remain central to every decision. I bring decades of business and leadership experience. I built and ran my own successful company in Seattle for many years, served as president of the Seattle Executives Association and the Seattle Women's Business Owners, and later led Union Harbor Condominiums, a 49-unit complex with a marina and a swimming pool, all out over the water in Lake Union. So those roles taught me how to manage budgets carefully, balance needs with resources, and operate transparently. Since moving to Anacortes 8 years ago, I've seen firsthand how much this community values its pool. However, the pool has not been financially self-sustaining, and we need clear public information before creating a new taxing authority. I believe in fiscal responsibility, accountability, and citizen oversight. If elected, I'll work to keep the pool strong, transparent, and financially sound, exploring fair funding options, ensuring efficiency, and keeping taxpayers informed. My commitment is simple: protect our community assets while respecting your right to vote and to know how your dollars are spent. Thank you.
Sandy.
Thanks. My name is Sandy Finney. I've lived in Anacortes for 16 years, which is the longest I've lived anywhere in my life because I am a daughter of the Air Force, so we moved around a lot. So this is very much my home, and it's where my roots are. My first job was as a lifeguard, actually, and so I was out there scrubbing the filters, and I was teaching lessons, and I actually coached a swim team, the 12 and unders, when I was in Colorado. A great experience. So I've been in the water my whole life. I did swim in high school, I swam in college, took about a decade off, but then what was really special is when I moved to Anacortes 16 years ago, I discovered the Masters swim team, and it has been a home to me, not just the pool, but that team. And I know it's a really important social outlet for me, as well as a fitness outlet as well. And if any of you participate in any of the group fitness or group aqua aerobics, it's a team. You're with a group that you're with all the time, and I think that social aspect of our pool and our fitness center is so important. There's one of the things I wanted to mention before I jump into why I'm a good candidate for commissioner is that one of my guiding principles when I vote is thinking about what community and what world I'm leaving for my children and my neighbors' children and their grandchildren. So I'm not just thinking about what is it about, for me right now, I'm thinking about the future. What are we leaving as a legacy for our children, our neighbors' children? So that's what's prompting me to vote yes on the measure, as well as to be running for commissioner so that I can contribute to that legacy. Why I'm a good candidate for the Metro Recreation District? I've got a Master of Public Administration from the University of Washington, where I got a fellowship. It was a great education. I work for Community Action in Skagit County, which I think many of you know. I'm their Chief Strategy Officer, and in that role, I think I do a lot of things, but 3 very important things. One, I make sure that we are efficiently and very wisely using public funds. We have federal, state, and local contracts, as well as a lot of private donations. And it's really important that we use those wisely and efficiently and are transparent about how we're using them. I also work closely with our finance director to create our $17 million budget, to make projections into the future, and to make choices and adjustments when necessary, and hard choices. I'm also responsible for facilitating our strategic planning and our annual work plans as well. Tend to think of myself as somebody who can get things done. Sometimes people don't always like that, but we need to make a plan to move forward, right? So these are all skills that I think make me a good candidate for commissioner. But I think these don't include the most important thing, and really for me, the most important thing is passion. I am passionate about this pool. It has meant so much to me, it means so much to the community, and I would like to represent it to make sure that we are carrying it into the future, that we can maintain it, and have it be there for our grandchildren.
Thank you. Those were pretty terrific answers from everybody.
We have been sitting here for 45 minutes. I'm going to suggest we give everyone, including Ken, a round of applause. Let's take a 10-minute break. Think about your questions. Don't forget what they were. When we come back, we're going to do all the questions. All right, we'll see you in 10 minutes.